Western Kentucky, where I was raised, where the wildlife and mountains call my name. I was born to hunt, I was born to guide, a camouflage on a rifle by my side. Just good old country boys chasing dreams in the Appalachian Mountains, fields and streams. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where those dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. The coyotes run all night. It's music to my ears and in my sights. I've got this hunting fever down in my bones. I'm glad my daddy taught me everything I know. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. The TLC Outfitter is our name.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday and welcome to On Air and Outdoors with TLC Outfitters. Thank you all so much for joining in. Hoping everybody's had a great start to your week and hopefully everybody had a great weekend. As always, my name's Trinity, and as you can see, Matt's not with us tonight. We got a new co-host for this show, and this is Mr. Donald Thomas. You all may know him from the Kentucky Elk Guide Association. He's our president, and we appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule to be able to be with us. Thank you, Donald, for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you, brother, for having me. I got a new bird dog in training here. You can tell.
Yeah, I can see that's a ferocious bird dog you got there, buddy. Yeah. That's a new breed of bird dog. What kind of breed of dog you call that?
This is just a purebred bird dog. It's a retriever and a poodle. You know, what you call them, bedoodles or redoodles?
Yeah, we're gonna call that Thomas's bear hound. How about that?
Get her off my ear
here. Folks, we appreciate y'all tuning in. We're very excited about tonight's show. We know that there's so many questions and so much surrounding the new news that just came out about CWD being found in Western Kentucky, and we've got the authority on that tonight. Mr. Joe McDermott is taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us, and we appreciate him taking time. We're going to be talking to him in just a little while, and going to be covering a lot of facts, going to be debunking a lot of myths. You know, Donald, anytime there's any kind of new stuff come out or anything, it seems like the rumor mill just goes rampant. You know, people, what they don't know, sometimes they make up and they can create a lot of stuff around, what's not the facts, and they can cause a big stir.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And it will definitely spread quicker than the truth ever will.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we're very thankful to be able to bring, this new news and get some facts out there. It's still, still so much we don't know, and that's okay. But, I know with a department like Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, they're going to be able to figure this out. And, if you think about it, Donald, since CWD's been around, you and I both have been in this elk program now for 20 plus years. When you think about it, the early studies and the early going, whatever, Kentucky's done a really good job of trying to protect the state. We knew that it was probably inevitable that one day there would be a case of CWD in the state. But if you think about how long since CWD's come on the scene into 2023, I mean, they've really done a good job of trying to protect the state and the resources.
Oh, without a doubt, Trendy. I mean, just look at it. All of our surrounding states that's bordering Kentucky has been CWD positive for years now. I mean, we've been surrounded by it for many years. And I think they've done a tremendous job, and I believe they'll do a good job on control.
Absolutely. And, there's one guarantee that I always tell everybody: the men and women of Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife is out there every day. As sportsmen, sportswomen, we love to hunt and fish, enjoy non-huntables, all of our fish and wildlife resources. And these folks are out there every day protecting what we love to do, and these traditions and culture that's passed down from generation to generation. And sometimes they don't get the recognition that they deserve. But, I can tell you one thing right now: protecting these resources are the forefront of these folks' career, and it's in good hands. A lot of good things coming from them, and this is going to be just another hurdle we got to get over. And I really believe that they're going to do it. Folks, if you've not done so, please like and share this video. Get the word out there about all things on air and outdoors with TLC Outfitters. Our number one fans on here with us tonight. My mama says hello. Hope you're doing good. Thank you for tuning in. We've got some other folks. We appreciate Miss Brittany for tuning in. And Clyde, thank you. Our very own Paris, Canada, and others. Appreciate you all very much. Man, tell us about your elk season, Donald. You got some exciting news. I mean, you were one of those guys that finally got one of those tags, and how did it turn out for you?
Oh, it turned out great, Trendy. Wouldn't expect it any other way. But yeah, I had a great year. I had a great year with the elk hunters. We've all had a good year. Myself, like you said, finally, after 23 years of applying for the elk draw, I was awarded an archery tag this year. And unfortunately, which it wasn't unfortunate, actually, I had hunters booked throughout the whole year. I didn't even get to hunt in September. My first day of hunting was the December archery hunt. And I ended up harvesting me a bull on Tuesday. I think I hunted Saturday, got soaking wet. Sunday morning I went. Ended up with a head cold, didn't even hunt Monday, and ended up shooting me a bull on Tuesday about 12:30 in the day.
Yep.
So I've had a great year.
Had no doubt that you get it done, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, had no doubt. One of the greatest of all time, man. So what about, so I'll tell you something I want to talk about. So last week, Matt and I, we kind of talked about the muzzleloader season, and we had a buddy of ours come down from Ohio and hunted with us. And I'll tell you what, man, it was a tough weekend for muzzleloader season. The last 3 days here in Zone 4 were doe days. And it was pretty, if you were hunting kind of that, looking for those other food sources and whatever, you just kind of left out. What was your take on finishing up on muzzleloader season?
Well, I actually ended up taking a real good lifelong friend of mine in Zone 4, and he ended up harvesting him a buck Friday morning on that first day. We actually went over there to Zone 4, and, just like you said, it was 3 days of the doe, and he ended up getting him a buck Friday morning. And we was seeing a little bit of activity that morning, but that, to be honest with you, that was the only day that I hunted, was that Friday.
Yeah.
So I can't chime in much more on that.
I understand. Yeah. We didn't see, and I talked to other hunters, we didn't see, how you see, deer out in the honeysuckle, and you see deer out, on these different food sources than a lot of mass crop. But, I think that there's still quite a bit of mass out there, and it was a little bit different for us this weekend.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. And I'll tell you something that we did notice. We seen several deer that morning. I've been noticing, especially around here, which is not Zone 4, been a little bit of chasing going on around here, believe it or not. They picking back up a little bit.
Yep. We found new rubs, new horn bushes, and we actually found some new scrapes, or some scrapes being cleaned out, So that, the rut still, I guess you call it the tail end of the rut, depending on who you talk to about the first and second rut. A lot of people say there's no such thing. There's one rut. It lasts as long as it lasts and whatever. So But we seen some rut activity going on this weekend as well.
Yeah, and I did notice that, but we had a great weekend there. Also, we got to go one day. Like I said, we went Friday, and I was just along for the ride, just taking him along.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Well, man, I'd say let's go ahead and jump in this thing. Bring Joe on here and get this thing started. I know it's going to be a lot of good information, and we want to get to it. So, hey, Joe, thanks for joining us, man.
Howdy, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Yep.
Joe.
We appreciate you taking time out. To say you're a little bit busy may be an understatement. Is that correct?
That's definitely correct. Since we confirmed the disease, about 2 weeks ago now, it's been wide open.
Yep.
Ain't no slowing down.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Joe, and tell us what you do for the department.
So my name is Joe McDermott. I'm the deer program coordinator. Been in this position for about 10 months now. Prior to that, I spent the last 7 or 8 years working as a elk and deer biologist for Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. Big time hunter, big time advocate for the outdoors and the resources, and appreciate all the kind words that you guys had to say about the agency earlier.
Yeah, man, we're very proud of our agency and very proud of everything that you all do, and very thankful for everything that's done. The men and women out there protecting our resources every day. So we appreciate that. So I guess we're just going to jump into it here, man. Like, there's a lot of folks, they've heard CWD, but they're not exactly sure, what is CWD? What can you tell us about as far as, if you were going to kind of explain what it is and how it affects these animals?
So chronic wasting disease, or CWD, is known as a transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. So transmissible means it can be passed. Spongiform, it basically puts holes in your brain. And encephalopathy is like a disease of the brain. So it's a transmissible disease of the brain that puts holes in there. It's caused by a prion, which is an abnormally folded protein. I mean, prions are natural, everybody's got them, but there's some that let's just say they don't act right, and that's what causes the disease. It's a vector. It's not a vector-borne disease. It's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. It's kind of its own thing, and it's chronic wasting disease is very similar to. I mean, most people heard of like the mad cow scare from back in the 90s. It's the same type of disease. It only affects unlike mad cow. This one only affects members of the deer and elk family. The deer family, so that's deer, elk, whitetail, mule deer, you name it, anything in the deer family.
Very good. Now, this isn't just something new to the scene. This isn't just something that's been, just brought up. And I think a lot of people in the outdoors has heard about CWD. Do you know about when we first started CWD coming on the state? I know for me, thinking back, I know Wisconsin probably was maybe around, when it first started getting big, but this thing goes back a long time.
Yeah, so it was first detected in a captive serve facility in Colorado in 1967. It's just slowly progressing since then. For us in the eastern U.S., it didn't really become much of a thing until like 2002. That's when Wisconsin got it. It kind of jumped the river. And then you slowly started to see these pockets of it popping up throughout the eastern U.S. as well. But right now it affects 32 states. It's in Canada. It's in Korea, Finland, Norway. I mean, it's really, it's just spreading everywhere now.
And is it safe to say, that it was it was just a matter of time? I mean, you hope for the best. But is it safe to say that it was just a matter of time before this crossed the border?
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. I mean, when you think about where we found it in Ballard County, Illinois got it, Missouri's got it, and it's, the Missouri case is only to the positive county, 30-something miles from Ballard County. And then you look at what's coming up from West Tennessee, and how thick they've got it down there. It was only a matter of time, and that end of the state, unfortunately, just had a whole lot real close to it. But yeah, 6 of our 6 of the 7 states that border Kentucky had it before us. So as much as we tried to keep it out of here through, what various regulations and testing, we finally found it.
Yeah. And this was the reason for, if you went to another state and harvested a cervid, an antlered animal, before you could bring that animal back, there were certain processing things that had to have no cerebral spinal matter, things like that.
Yeah.
That was trying to prevent this from happening, correct?
Yes, that was the whole intent behind those regulations.
Yeah, very good. Now, now we've got it. It was found, you said, in Ballard County, correct?
Yes, sir.
What can you tell us? I know there's a lot of people want to know, what can you tell us about the particular case or the particular animal? What kind of information can you give us about that? Was it captive bred? Was it wild? What do you have as far as you can tell us about that?
Okay. So this was a wild 2.5-year-old male deer in southeastern Ballard County. It was taken on opening weekend by a regular hunter. The buck, I've seen pictures of the animal in question. He appeared healthy. He might have been a little light, is what the hunter said, but he was still out there doing his thing. He was running does. And that's really the extent of what we know about that deer right now. Found in some real good habitat areas, some good corridors. But those young male deer are dispersers, right? They often get kicked out of their home range either by their mother or through competition, and they move. So it's really untelling where it came from right now. We're actually working on some genetic analysis, partnering with some of our neighboring states to get samples from some of their deer to try to pinpoint where it came from. But unfortunately, that's going to take us a little bit more time. So right now, wild white-tailed deer, not a captive, 2.5-year-old buck acting right, not sick, not clinical, which would likely mean it was an early detection on our part.
Very good. And that means a lot. The pains that you all have taken to try to monitor and setting up that corridor or that quarantine area, that was try to get ahead of this, correct?
Yeah. I mean, the original surveillance zone that we had down there, the Graves, Hickman, Fulton, Marshall, Callaway, that was purely in response to Tennessee. It's important to know we found this outside of that area through our normal statewide surveillance. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but we sample for chronic wasting disease very intensively. Since 2002, we've sampled between 55 and 60,000 animals. That's deer and elk both. Never found it until just recently. But we sample every county across the state every single year to detect it in the case like this, where it's you can get onto it as early as possible. Just for this year alone, we've already submitted over 5,000 samples to the lab. So we're really getting after it and trying to be proactive.
Yeah. You think about that. I mean, 5,000 samples. I mean, that's hard to even imagine, how many samples that is. So that's a lot of time and effort going into this. That's how serious that the department is taking this. Donald, yeah. What kind of questions do you have?
I was just going to ask Joe there he mentioned it's a transmittable disease. How's it transmitted, Joe?
So mainly through direct or indirect contact, I guess. Deer are very social animals. You'll see them nuzzling each other, licking, whatnot, but it's spread through bodily fluids. You might have nose-to-nose contact, saliva, feces, urine. It can spread that way. It can actually be uptaken by the soil and plants. And then there's new stuff coming out, which is terrifying as well, that, these carrion species like crows or whatnot, they can pass it through their feces, and then ticks can transmit it now too. So it's there really are several ways, but the primary way is like direct contact, generally like nose to nose or through bodily fluids. That's the most infectious, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like you were saying, since 2002, y'all have been pretty much testing since 2002. I know, being as a taxidermist, I've pulled many samples for the department over the years.
We appreciate that.
It's like that. I mean, honestly, this is something that you were expecting, and I'm pretty well, you've got a plan laid out. on where to go from now, correct?
Yeah, we developed a CDW response plan. I mean, this is before my time. They started the initial one back in the early 2000s, and in response to the Wisconsin detections and everything else around us. But it's been modified over the years, and I think it'll be a good plan. It's kind of a guiding document that outlines the different steps we need to take under various situations, and we're currently following that plan right now in terms of what it's calling for. But we have a good plan in place, and I think it'll be effective.
Yeah.
And that's available for anybody who wants to see it. It's a public document. It's on our website, fw.ky.gov/CWD. It'll tell you more than you ever want to read about chronic wasting disease and what we do to mitigate it or try to mitigate it. And you can find our response plan on there too, so you can actually see for yourself what the department is doing or plans to do in response to this detection.
Yeah.
We got a good question right here. This is our good friends from up north. Sandy and Carl Harney says, sorry I joined late. Was there only one positive this year from 5,000 samples?
Yes, currently there's only one positive. So everything else that we've sent to the lab has come back not detected. So which means it's, likely that there's no CBD there. And that's what we're working on right now, though, is trying to determine distribution or prevalence of the disease. We've been working, sampling these areas, and we get location data, trying to see, because it's just as important where the negatives come from as it is the positive, to help you with your prevalence and distribution information. But sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Yes, only one positive.
No, that's good information. We got another good question. Miss Brittany says, how long is the incubation period, and how long till the animal starts showing signs of the infection?
So the incubation period, pretty much that's like from the time it picks it up till you start seeing signs of the disease. And that's one of the things that makes this tricky. It's not super straightforward, right? You think about when you get sick, you get a flu and you're pretty much sick right then and there. This one, it takes a little time to build and affect the animal. So the incubation period can be like 18 months to 2 years before you start seeing any clinical signs in that animal. A lot of times and that's part of what makes it frustrating, because it's, again, it's not straightforward, but that entire time that they're infected with the disease, even if they're not showing signs, they can be out there transmitting it to other animals.
And Justin Tinsley says, and this is no effect to you, Donald, but Justin says, oh, no Matt tonight. We gave him the night off. Justin, he's been working too hard, buddy, so we gave him the night off.
I don't know. That poke may have been directed toward me.
Yeah, sorry, Justin. You got to deal with us today, I reckon.
That's right. Yeah, what are you going to do, big guy? We got Joe on here. He knows you like we do, so I don't know what you're going to do now. You can't pull the wool over this guy's eyes, Justin.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in, man. Now, there's a lot. Anytime that anything new pops up or people don't understand something, it's kind of the old adage, what they don't know, they make up. So, what I really want to get into is kind of debunking some of these myths. Now, anybody that's kind of kept up over the last 20, 25 years with this disease in other states, know the horror stories about Wisconsin and when it first popped up there and they basically wiped out their whole herd. That is not the plan here. Am I safe in saying that? That's not the plan here. That's not a good course of action, correct?
I wouldn't say it's not a good course of action, right? Ideally you would remove everything around there to prevent, further spread or looking for it, but it's not what we're going to do. I don't want people to think that the sky is falling. We're not coming down there to kill everybody's deer. We're not going to remove everything from Broward County. So let's just dispel that now. That's not what's going to happen. I don't have sharpshooting crews. We're not all loading up and rolling down there. So that's not what's going to happen.
Perfect. We got a couple other questions here, and we appreciate your questions. like I said, we want to make sure that we stay on track. So if you got a question, make sure it's a good one, and we appreciate it, and we'll pop it up here. It says, how does that affect the harvested meat if they are showing no signs of illness? Are there any threats with the table fare?
So a couple points here. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention suggests that you don't eat any meat from an animal that's infected with chronic wasting disease or you don't want to eat anything that's got the disease anyway. But on the flip side, there's no evidence out there to suggest that it is transmissible to humans like mad cow was. And I guess we've got a 60-year case study on this now. I mean, it's been out there since 1967. People have been eating this that entire time, right? They're not all getting everything tested. People have eaten it. I would think if there were a risk for human transmission, that we likely would have seen it by now. I mean, they've done studies on it with the type of monkey that's pretty similar to a human, and it's dang near impossible to infect them with it. And they're feeding them super highly infectious parts of the animal, right? They're feeding them some brain, spinal tissue, infected meat, and it's still kind of hard that way. So I don't think there's much risk for consumption. Like if you accidentally consume some, I don't think you're not going to run home and get this disease right away. But at the same time, the people responsible for this type of stuff, CDC, the experts, I guess I'd say, do recommend that you not eat it. And unlike a virus or like trichinosis, something that you guys deal with as bear hunters, you can't cook the meat to a certain temperature and kill it. I mean, if you were going to try to kill these prions by cooking the meat, you would just be ash all night. Like that's what it takes it extremely high temperatures, like over 600 degrees, to kill these things. So that's just another point I want to throw out there.
And how long will that disease stay active or stay alive in a deceased animal?
I mean, I guess until it's consumed or rotted away, right? It's going to be there.
So, and that's why I wanted to get that point across. That's why it's so important not to bring that matter in. That's the reason that, because a lot of folks think just because the animal, you harvested an animal, that the disease is gone. And they're going to say if you went to another state or something, that's the reason that for the strict laws about bringing, cerebral spinal matter or anything else into the state.
Yes, exactly. It is still infectious material.
Yeah, very good.
Let's see. Sorry, I've got
turnaround time?
I can hear some commotion out there. My wife must be having a heck of a time with the babies.
And Paul says, how about the doe that say that 2.5-year-old bred? Would they be affected with it now? I mean,
it's hard to say, right? I mean, they might have come into contact. They might not have. It's not really an easy yes or no question. You know what I'm saying? It's possible that it could be there. It's just as possible that it's not,
Yep.
Is
still a lot of unknown.
A fluid contact, Joe? I mean, nose to nose, like you were saying, saliva.
I missed the first part of your question, Don.
On the contact, like transmitting the disease, it is a fluid. Does it have to be contact with, like, say, bodily fluids, say the nose or so forth, saliva?
Yeah, that's generally it.
Okay.
But I don't think just because, like anything, right, you can be next to somebody with COVID and you not get it.
Right.
It's going to kind of be a situational thing. I don't think just because they touch, that automatically that means one's infected. It could be, but I don't think it necessarily means that it is, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Justin says, how far from the state line? I guess we're talking about Tennessee. How far from the state line was it found? Do you know, Joe?
How long is Graves County? It's because it was north of Graves County. So it's 25, 30 miles, something like that. Maybe that's just a guess. Don't quote me on this one, but it was north of Graves County. So however long that county is at least that long.
Right. We appreciate you answering these questions, Joe, the best you can. And I want everybody to know watching that, I mean, I mean, you're the authority on this. You know a lot about this, but there's so many unknowns. I want people to know that. I mean, yes, you're a biologist. Yes, you've done all these things for so long, but there's still so much that nobody knows. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, people do research. People far more intelligent than me research this disease constantly. And there's still questions that are out there and a lot of unknowns, like you say, and a lot of things that are unanswerable for the meantime.
And we appreciate you in the department allowing you to come on and tackle some of these questions for us tonight. We're not trying to put you on the spot. We understand, and I know most everybody watching does too, that, this is a very difficult and some difficult situation. Sometimes they're just not clear-cut answers. So,
yeah, and that's kind of where we are right now. But I'm happy to join, happy to try to provide some information if I can. And,
yeah.
And I want, I like these questions. I'm happy to try to answer them the best I can and try to dispel anything that may be untruthful that's out there floating around.
Yep. Here's one. Says, "Will this from our buddy Bob says, another elk slayer says, will this affect baiting for deer in the future?"
Did I just say I liked answering questions? I don't want to answer this.
Boy, you jumped into that one, didn't you?
I did. Thanks, Bob.
Listen, I was trying to ease you in, Joe. I was trying to let you down easy, but
that's all right. So, yes and no. It's going to depend on our next steps. So, if you treat it like the old surveillance zone, if that's the way it's treated, what we did in response to the Tennessee detection that was very close to our border, then yes, baiting would be banned, but it's only in the counties that are affected by it, the surveillance zone counties. So, I mean, it's not something that you would have to worry about in Leslie County or, anywhere outside of that area. And I'm not saying that I can't say right now if it will be or won't be. I would anticipate that it will be treated like the other surveillance zone counties were, and baiting will be removed. But just because it's removed now doesn't mean it's gone forever. The reason we baiting is one of the first things to go. We talk about nose-to-nose contact or contact with bodily fluids. If you put a corn pile out there that numerous deer are visiting, numerous family groups, who knows how many deer are out there visiting it. All it takes is one animal eating on it, shedding saliva, urinating in the area or whatnot. Then another deer eats it, and another deer eats it, and then automatically you've got a bunch of contact just like that. So I mean, that's the reasoning behind it. It's not that we don't want you to kill deer or take away your favorite way to do so. It's just it is a significant transmission risk. But if it is enacted, let's say it is enacted and we go down there and we don't find anything for a couple of years, we're not going to keep these places in a surveillance zone with these restrictions in place any longer than we have to or think we need to, right? We're not trying to remove this as a tool for hunting forever. It's just going to kind of depend on what we see moving forward. That's about the best I got for you, Bob. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's some unknowns yet to tackle.
I don't know what this is all about. Joe said, "Heck yeah, we're going to put him on the spot." LOL.
It's all right.
Let me chime in one here and give him a break here. You said that was a 2.5-year-old buck. Just on average, how far do you think that deer would or could have traveled?
It's a good question. So it depends. Deer disperse, right? We all know that. You got a buck on trail camera for months, and then right for the rut, he's gone. Or in the spring, they just disappear. So dispersal distances usually coincide very well with forest canopy cover. So the more forest that you have, the less that animals usually disperse less frequently and at shorter distances. In a place like West Kentucky or Southern Illinois, Eastern Missouri, places that are super heavy ag dominated with very broken up landscapes, not a lot of trees, dispersal distances are generally much higher. I don't I should know because I did a lit review on it, but I don't know the exact number off the top of my head for Southern Illinois, like, an example. But it's 20, 30 miles is definitely in the ballpark. They could have moved that far. But you get, he might have been an anomaly. He might have moved 100 miles. He might have moved 5 miles. It's kind of hard to say until we get that genetic analysis back. But you get some weird ones, man. A lot of deer that I caught from my master's project in Clay and Leslie counties. Heck, I had one in Appalachia that was killed 58 miles from where I caught it. 58 miles through that country. That's as the crow flies. So,
That's 150 as you walk.
Yeah, it's a long ways. But yeah, we know they disperse at a higher rate and at farther distances in habitats like Western Kentucky. But again, is this animal an anomaly? Is he, we just don't know yet.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Trinity, hammer him some more.
Joe, I don't think that we kind of covered this, and if we did, I'm sorry if I missed it. So let's talk about further along stages for the animal. Animal gets this. I mean, there's a reason why it's called chronic wasting. An animal, contracts this disease. What are the stages of this disease? And I mean, we know that there's going to be the issue now that this is out there and this is made public, and you know how it is. It's kind of like I always say, every snake that everybody sees is a copperhead. It don't matter if it's brown, black, or glowing yellow. It's a copperhead, a copperhead, a copperhead. Well, now now you know how it's going to go. If somebody sees a deer that is acting unnatural, it's automatically going to be CWD. That may not be the case. So, what does this disease look like throughout the stages? Is that a fair question? Is that okay to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it like brainworm because that's something you guys see. I mean, they're going to get, so you've got like, a normal healthy deer, and then you've got this incubation period that may take up to 18 months to 2 years, and they're going to still appear healthy and function normal. And then you start getting that chronic stage of the illness. I mean, they're going to be emaciated, just like a brainworm bull looks. I mean, you're going to be real skinny, and they just kind of act like they're not with it, just kind of lethargic. You might see them walking in circles or just doing weird stuff that you wouldn't expect. A lot of times they'll get real slobbery and drooly. But, I mean, for all purposes, it looks like a late-stage brainworm elk does for, your viewers who are probably familiar with that.
Gotcha.
What about comparing like the EHD, the symptoms or what people might see, Joe?
Well, EHD, you typically see bigger die-offs or very quick die-offs, right? An EHD animal that dies from it, they're usually dead within like 2 to 3 days of catching it. And so they're not going to develop, these chronic symptoms where they're emaciated and nasty looking. They're just they're dead,
Gotcha.
Okay.
Very good. Let's see here. Has it been detected in Indiana or Ohio, borders of Kentucky? And can it be spread through mineral licks?
It has not been detected in Indiana right now. Ohio, it has been. It was found, I think in 2020. It was 20 or 21, if I remember right, that it popped in Ohio. They found it near a captive served facility. And yes, it can be spread through mineral licks. Not the mineral itself, but just the act of animals eating and feeding on this lick, licking it, getting saliva everywhere, and then another animal coming and visiting the same site. So that's part of the reason when we do like a baiting ban, it's baiting on, it's physical bait, and then like mineral supplements. We remove all that stuff because it is an attractant that they, can be transmitted from.
Gotcha. What have we missed, Joe, as far as, some of the things that you've already heard as far as kind of like myth wise, or, what's some of the other tall tales about this that you've heard that we've not touched on tonight?
I haven't actually in the past couple of weeks. I've had my head down. I haven't been hearing a whole bunch of myths to dispel, I guess you'd say. But I want to reiterate to people that the sky's not falling. This isn't going to kill every deer in your county. We're not going to, and we're surely not going to come do that. I would just ask people to have some patience with us as we progress. I said we've been following our plan, doing everything that it calls for, but at the same time, we don't want to do everything unilaterally, just agency directed. We've actually got some public meetings coming up down in that area in January where we're going to talk with the folks that live and hunt there about the disease, what it is, kind of like we're doing tonight, and then go over some of the things that we might propose or stuff that see what they're agreeable to. We don't want to put undue burdens on people or do something that's not palatable to them. So I would just ask that we have a little bit of patience moving forward, because we still, there's a lot unknown about the disease. There's a lot unknown about what we're going to be doing moving forward. We have the plan in place, but again, this is just a weird time to find it. When you find that at the end of the season, your options are a little bit limited, right? You can't go in with a heavy hand and do extra seasons or have mandatory check stations or whatever it may be that we would do, if it was found before a season. We're at the tail end of a season right now. We've still got samples out there. We've done 5,000 so far, but we still got several more that are in the queue. So we're just kind of get through this season, finish this out. Let's get all of our samples back, make sure our neighboring states get all their samples back and we don't have another issue. And then, we'll have these public meetings and kind of go from there. That's really where we're at right now, is preparing for that type of stuff. But there aren't any regulatory changes in place for 2023. So folks don't have to freak out that we're, going to do anything drastic in the next month or two.
All right. And Justin says if mating is stopped and the harvest numbers will drastically drop, and then you have more deer to congregate and get it, say like in maybe a zone 1 county where we're talking about, where the population numbers are already high.
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing I'll say, the only place that taking baiting off the table has ever even been described or mentioned is if we do an active surveillance zone. I mean, that's in regulation. If it becomes a surveillance zone, it has to happen. We're not talking about doing this anywhere else. So just want to set that out there. But yes, Justin, that is a catch-22. It is definitely a conundrum. The way most states have done it, they look at the risk of transmission, artificially congregating these deer at super high levels around bait sites, mineral sites, whatever. They look at that as a risk that's just not worth taking. On the flip side, like you say, that's the number one way that people kill deer. If you take that away, their deer harvest decreases. So then how do you get the harvest that you need to control the disease? It's complicated, man. And I understand the issue there. I wish I had a better answer for you. But it's complex. It's not an easy answer.
Thank you. And then Bob says, is a vaccine possible?
No. Well, ask Dr. Fauci. No. Currently, there's not any vaccine that's out there that we know about that we can use.
Thanks, Bob.
Trinity. What Trinity? Hey.
I didn't write it, Donald. I didn't write it.
You put it up there. Call Fauci.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because the COVID experiment is very similar to how this works out, and you definitely have two sides to the argument, right? You've got like those who would mask and those who wouldn't.
Let me ask you this: what's the turnaround time on the sample?
It just depends. So we tried to get them out as quick as possible. But it depends on the time of year. So if it's modern gun season where we're throwing 1,000 at them at a time, it might take 2-3 weeks. Right now, the samples that we're submitting, we might get within a week. So it just kind of depends on the volume that the lab is taking at the time. And, Generally not that long either way.
Is this going to kind of change the way that you all get samples, say, far as hunters' participation in it or anything? Will it, with this positive case, are you going to require samples from hunters in that area or areas surrounding it, different counties?
So more than likely, yes. I don't know how everything's going to shake out. We don't know, but more than likely it will be designated as a surveillance zone, and it will have the same restrictions in place that you've seen just to the counties to the south of it. It could be mandatory checks. There will be check stations of some type. We're going to be asking hunters for samples. Whether or not it's mandatory is still up in the air. I would anticipate it will be, at least for the first year. But we will sample if we do it like we have in the past. We know where the index case was. You set a 30-mile buffer. Any county that falls in that 30-mile buffer becomes their surveillance zone. Right. And that's, we set these different distances based on like dispersal rates and where an animal is likely to move in distances, right? So I would think it will be a surveillance zone, and we'll probably do, we will do some type of increased testing just to help us to determine prevalence and distribution of the disease. But again, can't say anything with 100% certainty until we get through the next month.
Well, say like where Trinity's at over there in the eastern part of the state, you're just going to continue to gather the samples that you had in the past?
Yes, we'll continue our statewide surveillance that we've been doing for 21, 22 years now. We sample every county. It's pretty cool, the approach that we take. It's like a risk-based modeling approach. So you look at things like proximity to other states that have got CWD. That's why like our border counties, we sample them really, really intensively. You might look at captive serve facilities, if they got deer processors, taxidermists. Anything that might be at risk kind of determines how many samples you want from a county. There's quite a bit that goes into it. It's not just willy-nilly picking deer up off the road. There's some science behind it. But yeah, we will continue to sample the other areas the same way we always have. We're going to continue to sample our border counties, especially, where the disease is kind of on the front edge, getting closer to us. We'll sample them more intensively, and we're going to sample this area too.
Okay.
And this is a good question right here for folks that don't know. This is from Sandy. Says, can you have the meat or body parts from your harvest, tested locally? And how long would it take to get a sample results back?
Yes. So currently the only approved tests that there are out there are for animals that are already deceased. So it's a post-mortem testing. And what we do, we take, for deer, we take the retropharyngeal lymph nodes. So when you go to the doctor and they're checking on your throat, feeling on you, they're feeling for those lymph nodes, see if you're, if there's like any inflammation, if they're swelled up. We're basically taking those lymph nodes out of the animal, and that's what we're testing. That's, just one of the places that the disease congregates that you can find those and find it. So yes, there is a test. We take the lymph nodes from the animal, and we'll test them, and it'll be, again, depending on time of year, it might be 1 week, it might be 3 weeks, but generally it's going to be under a month. We try to get it done as quick as possible, but just based on volume. And if you're wanting to get your animal tested and you don't live in the surveillance zone, we do have voluntary drop-off sites throughout the state. If you go back to our CBD page, fw.ky.gov/CWD, there's a voluntary turn-in site map, and it'll show you different places where we have freezers set up where you can drop off the head for testing. If you're inside the surveillance zone, and during modern gun at least, or the gun seasons, we'll be there and test it for you. And all the testing, I will mention too, is free of charge. So if you go take and drop a head off in one of our freezers, you don't have to pay a nickel for it. We'll give you your test result back because it helps us too. All right, it gives you peace of mind knowing that your animal's not detected, and then we're getting our samples without physically having to go out and pick up a roadkill or whatever it may be. So it really is a win-win for both groups.
Very good. And that kind of answered, I got a couple questions here. Justin Tinsley was talking about, said, all jokes aside, my worry is our processing facility and having an infected deer with a good deer. Quick test would be great so that we could test right then. That would be a good thing. And then
So there's stuff out there that's coming. I mean, there's a live test that's coming. It's called RT Quick. It's a different way of looking at it, but there are some live tests that are, or at least faster tests that they're trying to come out with. They're not quite approved yet, but like his processing facility, you know, what we would recommend if it's, you know, especially if it's in a place, you know, like around Bauer County. How about that? We'll just say around Bauer County. You know, we would try to encourage processors to not bunch deer, to do them one at a time. You know, whatever deer you bring is what you get back. Store them that way. Clean your materials. If you're interested, Justin, I'm happy to send you some best management practices that'll be good for both of your shops, the taxidermy and processor shop, that can have information about meat storage or meat handling or disinfecting protocols, anything like that. But yeah, back to the quick test. They're working on it, trying to get it approved. And as soon as it becomes a viable option for us, I would, you know, imagine that we'll be utilizing it as well. Sorry, what's your other question there?
And you kind of already answered this. And if I wanted to send a sample of a deer that I killed, how would I go about that? And you just answered that for us. Very good. One thing I wanted to do, I hope this, let me see if this works right here. One thing I wanted to do before we kind of go anywhere else.
My wife is having a time out there, boys. I'm surprised y'all can't hear it.
You're missing all the fun, Joe.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see.
I got a quick one for you. While Trinity's doing that, I'll put you on the spot. What about our elk? How would this affect
What about our elk? It's several hundred miles away from them.
How would this affect the elk herd?
I mean, not currently as it currently sits, but you know,
it can
in the elk zone.
It can be transmitted to elk also, though, correct?
Yes, elk are members of the cervid family. They are susceptible to the disease.
And this is what I want to do right here. Can you all see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is fw.ky.gov. We talk about it every week. Such a good source of information. There's more information than you can go over in several settings, depending on what it is. Everything from hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife education, enforcement license, maps, more non-huntables, so many things. But if you go on here, this is what it's going to pull up to start with. And if you scroll down, the first headline right there is Wildlife Health Update, Chronic Wasting Disease. You click on that, and there's so much information right here. Everything that we talked about tonight and more.
It really is a good resource. We've got some good people who've been working diligently on this. We actually just hired a communication specialist who does like disease stuff, and she's just overhauled this, done a really, really phenomenal job with the website. It's laid out really well for the CWD section. And yeah, like you said, there's more information on here than you could want to know. But if there is more you want to know, there's links to that too. There's links to other places. But it's a good resource for those of you out there who want to learn more about CWD or anything associated with it.
Right here's what we've already talked about: CWD in a 2.5-year-old male in Ballard County. Here's the response plan. You know, here's how Kentuckians can help prevent the spread of CWD by reporting sick or abnormal behaving deer. Information. Here's a quick link to your regional biologist. Here's an application that you can submit. I mean, there's more information on here than you know we can possibly cover. Here's an updated here's the surveillance zone that we talked about. And here even lays out surveillance zone submit to the lab. I mean, all kinds of information. So really urge everybody to go on to fw.ky. Here's talking about hunting cervids or antlered animals in other states. Right there, it lays it out for you what you're supposed to do. I mean, great information, man. And it just keeps going and going and going. Anything you want to highlight on here, Joe, that I've missed?
I mean, I would just focus on, not that you've missed anything, you've done a good job covering it, but for a really easy, quick link is at the top right of this page. It's the frequently asked questions. It'll just say FAQs down there below the deer sample collection stations and the important links right there. But there's this right here will have most of your high points that I think folks will appreciate. It tells you the difference between, CWD and like EHD or blue tongue, what actually is the disease, how's it transmitted, just a lot of the stuff that we cover tonight, you can find right here in these quick links. And it's a good resource if you just need something quick to reference.
Yep. There you go. Very good.
What else you got, fellas?
Let's
Donald
see.
likes to break me every time I get on a podcast or anything with him. He likes to make me squirm, so
Yeah. Sandy says, thank you for the information. And here's our buddy Gator Paul from Florida. Says, are the DNR or our Kentucky Dept Fish and Wildlife asking processors to get samples for them? That's what they do down there in Florida.
Yeah, so we do that. We work with a lot of processors across the state to meet our goals. I mean, it's an easy way to, you show up at a processor on opening weekend, you can get 100 samples pretty quickly. So we do work with them, and it's a really good resource, and we appreciate all of their help. I mean, it really does help us meet our goals every year.
Good. Donald Thomas, what have I missed?
Brother, by the looks of that last page, you scrolled through a whole lot, but no, I think you're turning. Well, one thing that I was sitting there thinking, Joe, on the samples, you said you had freezer drop-offs. Say some of these deer, if they take them to their taxidermist, and they want a sample, I'm sure you all, I know, get samples from the taxidermist. But say they wanted to drop a head off in the one of the freezers, but they wanted to keep the antlers or something. Say it was a buck and they wanted to keep the antlers off.
Yeah,
they
that's
just
perfectly
do
fine.
the skull cap and drop the head without the antlers?
Yeah, you can skull cap it and throw it in there. You can cape the whole thing out, then skull cap it and throw it in there. It don't matter to me. As long as it gets in there, it's useful for us.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't expect anybody to turn over their antlers to us. That's
Joe, are there anything that we've missed? We know that you probably need to go and get to your family. We're not going to hold you any longer, man. I just want to thank you so much for taking time to come on here and talking to everybody that takes interest in this. We've got so many people that, care a whole lot about Kentucky's natural resources. And, you've been so good to come on here so many times and let the people know. Are there anything that we've missed?
No, like I said, I just want to reiterate, the sky's not falling. We're not coming to kill all your deer. That's this. Just bear with us as we get through the next little bit. We'll know a little bit more and be able to present some more. But I think we've covered most all of it. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here and talk and try to help provide some information. If anybody has any other questions that you can't answer on our website, feel free to give us a call, 1-800-858-1549. Info Center that's the Info Center's number. If they can't reach it, then they'll send you to me, and we'll get your questions addressed and try to help you out.
Hey, Trendy, can I chime in on closing?
Yeah, you and I got some other stuff to talk about. We're going to let him scap. If you got something for him, we're going to let you talk.
I'll remind him of it too, because this is straight from the department, with the Kentucky Elk Guides Association. Since we're on the deer topic, we received one of the commissioned deer permits this year to auction off, and that auction will be ending tomorrow for a bonus deer permit for next year for the 2024 season. I just wanted to throw that out there to everyone, and the proceeds from that is going to help Mr. Joe and them. They do a lot of burning down there in Eastern
Yeah, I'll
Kentucky.
speak to it. That's if you're looking for an extra buck tag, it's definitely an opportunity to jump on, and the money that's generated, most all goes right straight to the department. Kentucky Elk Guide Association has been a phenomenal partner with us in the past couple of years as we work to improve our capacity for prescribed fire and other work down there. They really provided a lot of invaluable equipment to us that we just couldn't get our jobs done without. So it is a good cause to support. That money goes directly to conservation, and we'll put better habitat on the ground as a result of it.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for that, Joe. Just remember, you can
No,
go
thank
there.
you, man. Thank you.
Well, I was going to say you can go to our webpage. All the bidding process is on our website. Go to the website, and it ends tomorrow evening at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Everyone jump on there and bid on it.
You can check it out on any of our Facebook pages. You can go to KEGA, that's KEGA, and Kentucky Elk Guides Association Facebook page, and check it out. And you can get on there and see. This is the opportunity ending tomorrow. This opportunity to have a second. I mean, it's essentially a second antler tag. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have to. I mean, you know, that's what you're going. That's what everybody's shooting for: the ability to harvest 2 antlered animals in 2024 in the state. So everybody head over there, check it out, put a bid in. It's going to end tomorrow. What time, Donald?
8 p.m. tomorrow, unless it's extended. If the bid is increased within the last 15 minutes, it will be extended another 15 minutes to give everyone an opportunity to bid. But it's supposed to end at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening.
Okay. And what other tags do we have?
We have a waterfowl and an elk tag. The waterfowl will be ending Friday on the 22nd, and the elk tag will be ending on January the 1st of this year, and all of them's on the website.
Where are the proceeds from the elk tag going, Donald, and the other?
The proceeds from all of the tags are going to, Joe may have to help me out here. It's the Eastern Kentucky Burn Initiative. Is that correct?
Habitat Initiative.
Habitat Initiative. And what we done last year, 100% of the proceeds last year went toward that, and a reward for elk poaching cases. We set aside $2,500 for any elk poaching case. But last year, 100% of it went to that initiative. And Joe, how many acres did you all burn in Eastern Kentucky for?
Over 3,000 acres last year. But I'll tell you right now what we bought with that money last year. We bought loader arms for our tractor and a grapple bucket and a disc, a box blade, which are tools that we utilize to cut our fire lines to even make them happen. We also have gotten chainsaws and personal protective equipment. I mean, all kinds of stuff, anything that we've needed. It's been a great resource to us. And again, it's all stuff that doesn't come in directly out of our budget. So it's a huge, huge win for us. And I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. Although I am getting kind of tired of cutting autumn off. I'll be honest with you.
Hey,
You ain't even scratched the surface.
I know we ain't even scratched the surface, man. It's so frustrating. You work
Well,
you work
you
so
just
hard.
heard it from Joe. They need a bulldozer, so everyone needs to get on there and bid.
That was exactly where I was going to go with it, Donald. I'm tired of cutting it by hand, boys. I need a dozer now.
I did think we acquired a chainsaw last year or two, and some blowers, leaf blowers, and a water tank or something. But all of it is going toward this burn initiative to improve habitat for every species, not just elk.
Yeah, a lot of things like them. I don't know if you boys have got to experience it yet, but you find you a fresh burned field in turkey season, and you are in the money, boys. It is fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and listen, I mean, you need a D9, at least a D9, if not D11, right, Joe?
Well, I'll take whatever you can give me, but then I'm gonna need a truck to haul it on. So
a lowboy.
Yeah.
Here we go. There better be some real bidding going on.
Yeah. I hope you guys get aggressive out there.
That's right. Joe, man, we're going to let you hop off here. Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to everybody at the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, the commission, everybody from the top down, the men and women in the field, conservation artists, our biologists, all the office, everybody. Thank you to everybody. And thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. Let the people know.
Yep. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. It's always a pleasure.
All right, man. We'll see you next
Have a good one.
You too.
Go in there and enjoy them youngins.
That's right. Donald, man, I don't know how much better it can get as far as talking about the ins and outs of chronic wasting disease.
I think that pretty well covered all the bases on it. We just have to see where we go from here, but I think we're in pretty good hands with that. What the plan is anyway.
Yep. Donald, tell us one more time about the tags that Kentucky Elk Guy Association, and is the Kentucky Elk Guy Association just for licensed guides?
No, I'll answer that one first. I'll do it in reverse. The Elk Guide Association is not just for licensed guides. Anyone can join. You can do a membership as an associate member. It's $25 a year to help us join. All of this is going back in what we're doing. We're working for conservation on this elk program. The tags, the Elk Guides Association is a 501c3 nonprofit. We received those tags through the department at the commission meeting. They awarded 7 of those tags this year for the elk. And like we said, the proceeds are going into that the Habitat Initiative, and it's all going for a good cause.
Yeah. What does the waterfowl tag consist of?
Justin's trying to put me on the spot now here. Well, I really don't know 100%. I have spoke with several of them at the department, but what the waterfowl permit consists of is, say, let's take Ballard for an example. If you have that commission tag, you contact them in advance, and you can pick your dates that you wish to go hunt Ballard. It's a 2-day hunt at Ballard, and say the sloughs, I think is a 3-day hunt with it. You still have to go through the draw process for the blind draw at Ballard also, though. But other than that, it would just give you the opportunity to hunt one of the quota drawn hunts the year you have the waterfowl permit without accumulating 5 points, because say Ballard is mostly, it's 5 points to even hunt there when you apply for the quota draw.
Yeah. See, I got drawn so this year, I got drawn for Ballard. So, it took me, I think I had 5 points, which took me 5 years to accumulate.
Yeah.
And it's preference points. So this commission tag, you kind of bypass that. Let's say you've not been putting in for, the preference points or whatever else. You kind of get, you already got that tag, so you're in. You got to find, you got to put in for the dates, or you got to put in for the blind draw, but you're automatically in with this tag.
Yes, it's an automatic in without 5-year wait.
Yeah, and the turkey tag has already been, it's already gone, right?
It was auctioned last night. It ended last night. It ended on Monday on the 18th.
And the money from all these go to the same thing. It's going to KEGA, and it's going to help preserve and conserve, our natural wildlands or our habitat in eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, and we kind of got emphasis on elk because we're Elk Guide Association. We're looking for the elk, but when you go over there and do these big burns, just like Joe said, all the animals over there is benefit from these burns, like you was mentioning, the turkey especially. And all the money is going toward this habitat, toward these burns. And there's $2,500 a year set aside. That is for a reward for any elk poaching case. If that money is not used on an elk poaching case within 2 years, I think is how we had it wrote up in the application process, that money is then turned right back into and goes into this habitat restoration.
Very good. Very good. Man, I'll tell you what, we about covered it all. The only thing I've got left is right here. I want to talk about TLC Outfitters guided thermal predator hunts. Of course, that's going to be for coyotes.
Put my glasses on now, Trinity. Now you're getting somewhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. and it's featuring Rick's Thermal Optics. We've teamed up with Rick's, and I tell you what, man, these optics are awesome. All you got to do is show up. We provide everything. And, there's so many people that want to try the thermal scene and they don't want to put the money in. These, even low-end thermal optics are very expensive, but this stuff we've got is high-end, and all the equipment. I mean, you don't even have to bring a firearm. We've got it all. And we're going to take you out for a night. And if you book before December the 25th, we're going to knock $25 off each booking. And if you book every Tuesday, every Tuesday, we're going to do a show special. If you book before midnight, we're going to knock off another $25. So if you book today, if you book tonight, it's going to be $200 a person. Go out and shoot coyotes. Going to be at least 4 hours. And if you can hang with us, it may be even longer than that. And I can tell you right now, man, Eastern Kentucky's got plenty of opportunities. We're talking about thousands of acres we've got to be able to hunt. Plenty of opportunities for coyotes.
Now you're talking. I've got my rig set up over on my old tripod right now, but unfortunately, like you said, it doesn't have a thermal on it. It's got an infrared night vision because I haven't jumped in the thermal gun.
Yeah. Those thermals are unbelievable, man. And we'd love to take y'all hunting. So you can give us a call, shoot us a message on Facebook, give us a call right there. You can see the number 606-496-6966, and let's take you out. It is amazing. It is a lot of fun. We already got people booking for it, and we get rid of some holistic murderers, some fawn killers. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fawn killers for sure.
Yeah. Very good. Donald, man, thanks for coming on tonight.
Well, you're welcome, brother. Thanks for the phone call and the invite. Uh-oh. We got another hammering question here.
Well, Justin's typing something out here. This one's going to you. If you have a Zone 5, a Unit 5.
I knew this was coming.
elk commission tag, and you have permission to hunt private land in Unit 3, can you hunt Unit 3?
That is a great question. This year, the commission had voted on that in 2024, the commission tags could be used. They are still unit specific, so you have a Unit 5 tag. It has been voted on and passed through the commission that you can use that tag in any unit on private property only. That is pending the legislative approval, which we all think is going to go through. It will probably be mid-March before we could give a definite answer on that, but I do have the attorney at the department on speed dial to make that phone call.
Oh, man. Thanks, Justin. You're a pal, buddy.
Yeah, it's probably, it's going to be a go, but we got to get through the legal end of it here first.
That can make some of the tags more valuable.
It would make all of the tags more valuable. And from my understanding, I think we have the only tag left that is up for auction. The rest of them are on a raffle.
Better get on that auction. You better get on that auction.
Yeah, Joe's needing a bulldozer to cut his fire lines and quit cutting all the olives.
I don't know what they are now, but I think them D9s, I remember back them D9s was sitting right around 1.3 million. That was, that was probably 15 years ago.
Well, we may have to knock him down just a little bit. He may not get a 9.
Donald, man, thanks. I appreciate you. Appreciate everything you do for, all things conservation, as a fellow guide and outfitter, man. I mean, you're top notch in my book. I appreciate everything you do. Thanks for, all the leadership in KEGA and, Kentucky Elk Guide Association. I hope people will take note. And if you want to be in the know, if you want to be in a group that not only focuses on elk, but focuses on all native species, especially in the huntable species, deer, turkey, black bear, small game, all of it. There's nothing better than being a member of KEGA. And what's $25, man? Man,
yeah, that's 2 people eating at McDonald's.
That
One time.
Said that. That's
One
exactly,
time.
one time. Extra value, man. That's 2 extra value meals.
Yeah, that's what that is.
That's right. Thanks, Donald. Appreciate you.
All righty. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and folks, thank you all for tuning in. Great show tonight, talking about chronic wasting disease with Joe McDermott from the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. If you missed the show, it will be right here on Facebook and also over on our YouTube page. Don't forget, sign up tonight before midnight, and you're going to get a total of $50 off our fully guided thermal coyote hunts. Sign up today, and remember, $25 off all the way till Christmas. We'd love to take y'all hunting. We hope y'all have a great rest of your week. Remember, if you want to know the creator, just look at the creation. And there's nothing better than hunting in good old Eastern Kentucky. We have got a lot of good stuff going on. And, I hope everybody has a chance to get out and enjoy it. Y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll see you right here next week on Iron Outdoors with TLC Outfitters.
Eastern Kentucky, where I was raised, where the wildlife and mountains call my name. I was born to hunt, I was born to guide, a camouflage on a rifle by my side. Just good old country boys chasing dreams in the Appalachian Mountains, field of trees. From those